Welcome back to the Rock Doc Chronicles. I am your ever-loving Rock Doc, Randy Sharma. And as we head into our third week of stay-at-home orders, I know we're starting to get tired, but we're seeing some effects from flattening the curve. So it's important that we all stay at home. Now we're being advised to wear masks when we go outside. I think that's important. And we're going to, we're slowly seeing the impact. All of us are slowly seeing the impact of this. It affects everybody in some way, shape, or form. And I know it's starting to get a little bit scary out there. But one of the questions that I had last week, I was taking a little bit of a walk between patients at work, and I thought, well, how do you stay at home if you don't have a home? So I'm going to bring in Michelle Heritage. She is the executive director of the Community Shelter Board, which has made a big announcement this week in helping the homeless. They work with 16 different organizations in town that provide vital services to folks, everything from Equitas Health to Net Care to the Huckleberry House, and even the Columbus Metro Housing Authority. So I must have Michelle come in and talk a little bit about what their organization does in general and how they are helping out now, especially in a time that is so vital. So Michelle, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Now, I know you've been working very, very hard. You're working long hours. You really don't have the time to talk to us, so I'm thankful that you made the time. But can you just tell us a little bit about what the Community Shelter Board does in general?
Absolutely. So Community Shelter Board is a public-private venture. We are a not-for-profit that serves Columbus and Franklin County. And it's a really interesting organization because it's one of a kind really in the entire country. Most communities are pretty fragmented in how they respond to homelessness in their community. Their city wants to do one thing, the county's doing something else, organizations are doing another thing, the United Way. In our community, we have one organization which is tasked with making sure we're responding to homelessness to our highest and best extent. So Community Shelter Board funds 16 partner agencies. You've named some, and including the YMCA, the YWCA, Lutheran Social Services, Volunteers of America, and many, many more. And they do the boots on the ground work to help folks who are either likely to become homeless because something's happening in their life. If we can prevent that, we want to do it. If folks need shelter, then we are funding those shelters. And then the housing services to get people out of shelter quickly and back into permanent housing, whether it's market rate housing or it could be permanent housing with supports around it because maybe somebody has challenges. And then we fund street outreach for those folks who are unhoused, staying on the street. We're trying to get them to come inside or even go directly to housing. And interestingly, despite our name with the word shelter in it, our biggest amount of funding is actually for housing. We are a housing first organization, and we believe that the central thing you have to do for somebody experiencing homelessness is to get them housed.
Yeah, I mean, the numbers are pretty, and it shows in the numbers. So last year, the organization served about 15,000 people. And that was homelessness prevention, sheltering, and rehousing. While in Columbus, we have about 1,800, 2,000 people that are homeless. 1,200 usually stay in shelters at night, and 600 are on the streets. So that 15,000 people that you're actually preventing, you're helping out, a large number of them, as you said, or you're helping to help keep them in permanent housing, or at least some temporary housing, and not in shelters or on the streets, which is super. It's commendable. It's amazing. So how are we with this current crisis?
Yeah.
How are you as your organization and all your partner agencies helping to, first of all, educate the homeless about social distancing and about this virus? I mean, just because people are homeless, people have fallen hard times, and
That's right.
They're not. These people are clearly. We've all had conversations with homeless folks.
Right.
Hopefully, and they're most of them are actually pretty smart. They comprehend things. They're not dumb. So. How are we educating them? And what does that look like as far as the outreach, especially to the folks that are not in shelters and that are on the streets?
Well, let me talk a little bit about what we're doing to respond to this pandemic. And Shelter Board is working with partners all across the community, and I'll talk a little bit about who's involved, because this is a yeoman's effort that everyone in the community has got to be involved in, or we can't get it done. The first thing we're doing is we have kept all of our shelters open. In the winter, unfortunately, we don't have the amount of resources that we need to offer everybody shelter all year round, which is, we're not comfortable with that. And that's something that we're constantly trying to change because we believe everyone who needs shelter should get it immediately. But what we've done is kept all of those beds open that we have for winter. So that way we can get as many people who are unsheltered. We don't want them going back to the street. We want them to stay in shelter, and the outreach teams are working to get people inside. We're working on two critical pathways. The first critical pathway has to do with a social distancing or deconcentration. And that is so that we can, in our shelter array, make sure that the folks who are staying there are 6 feet apart. Frankly, if you look at most homeless shelters, they're basically everything the CDC says you should not be doing to be safe during this pandemic. Folks are in bunk beds, they're very close together, they eat in congregate settings, they hang out in congregate places. It's absolutely not right. So we immediately have been working on deconcentrating the population in our shelter array. And that's to get everybody so they can spread out and be 6 feet apart. We've been working on some data analysis, both from the federal government, the state level, and locally that we've done to say how many beds are we going to need to get people far enough apart. And the answer is 600 additional beds. So the first thing we did is we've opened one shelter so far. The YMCA is our partner, and that's at 40 West Long. And that's 150 men. We're going to open another one at Sullivan Gardens Rec Center. That will be for 50 men. And then we will open yet another one, likely at another rec center. And those are all to deconcentrate so we can spread out. The second critical path is for folks who are experiencing homelessness and are either COVID positive, under investigation, or are presumptive positive because they've got symptoms, or they've been exposed and they need to be quarantined. And as you know, being quarantined and being isolated is different. Those are two different things. We tend to throw those together and they require different things. So we're calling those shelters for isolation and quarantine. SIQ, sick shelter is how you're going to hear us refer to it. At the height of this pandemic, when that wave hits us at its highest, we're going to need about 372 of those beds for shelters for isolation and quarantine. That doesn't mean there's only going to be 372 people. It means at one time, we're going to need to provide that much plus the 600. We're actually estimating that about 2,700 people who are experiencing homelessness in this community will ultimately need isolation and or quarantine.
Wow, that's a lot. So right now there's a hotel that you guys are using for the first wave. That is not open to the public, so that's using it exclusively for this. Where do you find those additional rooms? I mean, there's 2,700. I know, people will get better. They'll get through that time period where they are, the quarantine or the social isolation period or whatnot. But that's a lot of rooms. That's a lot of beds, I guess, that you're going to need.
So we've been turning over every rock. And so we've been working with the hospitality associations and the hotel motel associations. I expect we'll have a couple motels. We have been looking at dormitories that are available because the students are not there. Right. And then churches have offered us space, the recreation centers, all of those things. And so what we're looking at is to build out an array of isolation and quarantine and social distancing shelters, which allow a lot of flexibility. And so we think we'll probably have to open about 7 total facilities, 4 for sick, about 3 for social distancing, but we're really going to be flexible in that array on purpose intentionally because we don't know what's coming at us. Right. I have no idea how many people are going to need isolation versus quarantine. And I suspect over the time of this pandemic, that's going to change. We're probably going to have more and more people exposed needing quarantine. Then we might switch to isolation and then back again. So we're building it out to be flexible, and we are literally leaving no stone unturned in terms of facilities. But as you can imagine, there's a lot of challenges because we're, especially on the shelters for isolation and quarantine, we're building out medicalized shelters.
Yeah.
That's not our bailiwick. Like, that's not where we are experts,
Yeah,
right?
one of the things we do hear people, of course, saying thank you to the medical professionals and thank you to people in grocery stores. We also definitely need to say thank you to the folks like you and folks that are working at the homeless shelters, because you're right, the people are in high concentrations. It's the especially the people in the shelters themselves that work there, they're at really high risk of getting sick as well. And the amount of hours and planning, I mean, I know you've been working on this for months, and I know that our friend Lauren Wilson, who works at Faith Mission, has been working pretty much around the clock
Yeah.
for weeks and weeks and weeks. And
Yeah.
thank you for that.
Oh,
So
thanks.
the other thing is, this is not cheap. The city of Columbus already put $1 million into it, I think. But
Yeah.
you are going to need money. People
Yeah.
can donate at the website csb.org, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is for the Community Shelter Board. The other thing that has to happen is we have to feed people that are homeless.
Yeah.
And so fortunately, as they always do, the Mid Ohio Food Bank has stepped in, and
So many.
and they're working with Together and Company, which we all used to know as
Yeah.
two caterers, and they're helping feed.
Yeah.
That's great. I think Cardinal Health gave them a $500,000 donation to help buy more food, because they're seeing about a 25 to 30% higher food distribution rate right now as
Oh,
well,
yeah.
and that's only going to get higher.
Oh, absolutely. And the food bank, I just want to say, I mean, there are no words to express our gratitude about what they're doing. Matt Habish and the food bank folks said to us, listen, you've got a lot on your plate and a lot to worry about. How you're going to feed these folks is not one of your concerns. We are going to make it happen for you. And they absolutely have. To your point, in this, we're running kind of a sprint and a marathon at the same time.
Yeah.
You usually don't do both of those things at the same
Yeah.
time. You're either a sprinter or a marathoner, but we got to do both, because here's the thing: we have, like, a tsunami has occurred, and that wave is coming at us, and we've got a little window of time, and we've got to run as fast as we can to get all this set up so we are ready. We are going to be ready for these folks who are some of the most vulnerable people in our community, that they're going to get what they need in terms of isolation and quarantine. And here's why that's so important. It's so important for those people. It's also so important for the whole community, because when folks are outside and they can't wash their hands and they don't have a place to go to the bathroom, that's dangerous for everyone in the community. So as we keep folks that are homeless safe, we all also keep everyone safe. The marathon, though, is a lot of folks who are teetering on the edge of homelessness, who are precariously housed, maybe they've been couch surfing, they're coming at us. In fact, already, we've already had in the first deconcentration shelter, 40 or 50 men who have come to us homeless for the first time. And what they were is they were staying at their aunt's house or their cousins or their whatever, their girlfriends, and they got asked to move on because people are scared. And so a lot of folks are coming at us homeless for the first time, and we're going to see a lot more of that.
Yeah, Michelle, real quick, but that's also why it's super important that we do follow these guidelines. You're right; it is a sprint and it is a marathon. And what's so important about social distancing right now, following the guidelines, staying at home when we can, and now wearing masks when we're out in public, that is going to give us more time. We're seeing that in medicine.
Yeah.
You're seeing it with helping out folks that are in these situations. It gives us more time to build up our resources, to build out those facilities. So this really is going to affect everybody. The other thing is, if people have extra supplies that they have, hand sanitizer or whatnot, they can drop those off at 1100 Mediterranean Avenue, Columbus. It's the 43229 zip code. So it's 1100 Mediterranean Avenue. So people have supplies that they may have extra supplies for folks with families, because they're homeless families out there that need baby supplies, baby bottles, hand sanitizer, all these things.
The better place to drop that off is not at that address, but
okay.
in CSB's address, and that's 355 East Campus View Boulevard.
Okay,
that's where we're centralizing all the supplies coming out. So some of the things we really, really need are gowns for people to be in, whether it's cloth gowns or paper gowns are preferred, like in the hospitals. We really need all, obviously, N95 masks, but just all kinds of masks, gloves, thermometers. We're really having a hard time finding thermometers. We're trying to source those from everywhere. But the folks that are doing some of the medical work inside of these shelters for isolation and quarantine, number one thing they gotta do is take your temperature all the time.
Right.
And we are having a heck of a time finding thermometers. We also need reusable water bottles. You know, all of us have all those water bottles laying around that we get from everything we go
Mm-hmm.
to. We really need those for folks to have. We need sweatpants. We need underwear of all sizes, t-shirts, sweatshirts, because folks are going to be inside for long periods of time. And we don't have a lot of the laundry facilities we would typically have at our shelters because we're in all these other places that don't have those commercial laundry facilities. So folks are going to run out of clothes. So that's
So,
what I want to
so
tell. Yeah,
can
go
we
ahead.
can we just drop off if we're decluttering and we're cleaning out closets while we're sitting around the house? Can we donate those, or do you need things that are new?
No, if
Not
you,
underwear, obviously, but like t-shirts and sweatshirts and
yeah,
stuff.
we want new underwear, but t-shirts and sweatshirts, absolutely, we'll take them. Um, we really, really do need those kinds of things. And if you've got those water bottles laying around, if you've cleaned them, you run them through the dishwasher, we can take those too. Those will be helpful to us. So those are things people can do. And if folks want to learn about the things that they can do to help, go to csb.org. We have a whole list of the things that we need. You know, you can put together food boxes for the weekend for folks, that we can take out to people who are unsheltered. A lot of the places that we're feeding people have closed or have really scaled back their operations. And so it's harder and harder for them to find things. I did want to answer one question you asked before. You wondered about folks who are outside. We've actually been following some national guidance, and our street outreach teams are out there working with folks. They're actually bringing folks hand sanitizers and wipes and things like that, and educating them about spreading apart far enough. What's interesting though is you don't want to at this time disturb if there's a group of campers that are together, you want to leave them there and
Sure.
not move them around because then you're getting community spread. And so there's a moratorium from the city on any kind of moving of those camps and things like that right now, which is
Right. I mean, we can't just totally disrupt their
no,
lifestyle. I mean, that's what they're used to, and
yeah,
that's what they a lot of them want. So, right, it's okay. I mean, it's fine for them to be there. They just need to know to be socially
right.
distant and use hand sanitizer. Right.
And
Is there any,
what's happened is that we're putting in the Discovery District is starting it, and the City of Columbus, who, by the way, just a shout out, has been an incredible partner. I mean, I could not ask for a better partner than what we've had, and we have gotten so much done because specifically the City of Columbus and Mayor Ginther's leadership. But yeah, when folks are outside, we want to make sure that they're able to wash their hands and things too. So we're putting in the Discovery District actually helped pay for this, and the city is working on getting them installed. But some toileting facilities and hand washing facilities, which frankly we need anyway, even if we were not in a pandemic. This is a really good idea. And if you think about how Columbus is, we don't have a lot of kind of public bathroom space,
right? We don't.
and we need it, right? And that makes everyone healthier. Again, people have to go to the bathroom. We have to provide them the right place to go, or they're going to go the wrong place.
Right. Right. Yeah, and that's part of what we have these outbreaks, when we have these crises, we learn and we adapt, and good changes happen as well. Um, you know, is there anything else that you want to share with us that we can do, or that you want to make sure we all know that is out there that we're doing?
I want to say this. If you're bored at home, we've got lots for you to do. There's literally something for everyone that they can do to help, everyone of every ability. So if you want to help in this effort, it's csb.org. You can go there and we'll make sure we get you hooked up. If you want to make masks, if you want to put together food boxes, go buy packs of underwear, whatever it is, you want to make an investment or a donation, you want to volunteer because you're healthy and you want to go, and we'll give you the personal protective equipment you need to be part of it. Whatever it is, you can get involved, and this is the time.
Okay. Well, again, thank you for your time, Michelle, and thank you for everything that you do and your partner agencies do. It is so important, guys. We're all in this together. This is a time where we all have to help each other
Yeah.
out of it. Some of us are going to end up in some of these situations, unfortunately, that we're not used, that we've never been in before. So, if you have the ability to help out, as Michelle said, you can either sign up to volunteer, you can drop off supplies, or you can just make a donation. You can find all the information at csb.org. I'm also with Mid Ohio Food Bank. They're expecting much higher food distribution rates. They're going to have a bigger strain. You can also donate there at midohiofoodbank.org as well. Well, hopefully you found that helpful. If you did, please remember to subscribe, like, and share. And we'll be back with you sometime very soon with another episode of the Rock Doc Chronicles.